Well, public corporations listed in the United States can now use Facebook and Twitter to disclose material information as long as they tell investors about their social media strategy first. That from the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission this week. The last time the SEC issued guidance on this matter was in 2008, when Facebook and Twitter were in their infancy. The SEC also dropped an investigation into Netflix's use of Facebook for disclosing material information, the case that prompted the change in policy. But some are not satisfied. Jeff Corbin is the CEO at KCSA Strategic Communications in New York, and he joins us from New York today. Good to have you with us, Jeff. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks. Nice to be here.
So, first of all, give us the background. I mentioned Netflix in the intro. Tell us about that case and how that has led us to today.
So it was back probably towards the middle of last year. There was a situation where the CEO of Netflix, he had made a post to the company's Facebook page, and he basically gave what the SEC considered to be material information regarding customer usage. The SEC then issued what's called a Wells notice, advising Netflix that they were going to be investigating the company on this and whether or not the company had violated Regulation Fair Disclosure, which is a requirement by the SEC that companies maintain open disclosure on everything material so that everyone has the same access to that information. So the SEC started the investigation. I, in fact, actually wrote a letter to the SEC back in January saying that they probably should drop the claim because they hadn't given any sort of guidance with regard to Reg FD since, as you mentioned, August of 2008, when they basically said that the company can use its corporate website for disclosure purposes. So, as we all know, the world has changed quite significantly since August of 2008. Back then, no one really knew of Twitter, no one knew of Facebook, and also mobile technology. Who would know that now everyone would have a smartphone? So much has changed, and I basically said to the SEC that, new guidance is needed to reflect what's happened in technology and to basically, give some guidance to public companies on how they should embrace or can embrace social media in their communications.
So what do you think about what do you think about what they've done now?
So I think it is a great step in the right direction. They came out and said that they were wrong with regard to Netflix and that companies should be able to use social media. But that's really as far as they went. They made a statement to that effect. They gave no further guidance as to what this means, how companies should move forward. And I think, like I said, it's a great first step. The issue is going to be companies in general. I consult with public companies, and I've been doing this for many years, have consulted with hundreds of public companies, and they are reticent to do things where there isn't clear guidance, particularly where there's a chance that they might do something in violation of an SEC regulation.
So they're not going to do it? They're not going to disclose via Twitter and Facebook? Which they're allowed to do now. Is that what you're saying?
Well, they're allowed to do it. Well, I'm not saying that they're not going to do it. I think it would be helpful for the SEC to provide further guidance and to remove the ambiguity that's going to exist. So in my letter that I had written to the SEC, I gave them 3 ideas as to what they should do to remove any sort of ambiguity. I suggested to them that, one, in a company's annual report, in its Form 10-K filing with the SEC, that they should encourage companies to specify which means of communication they intend to use. So if they intend to use Facebook, indicate that in the Form 10-K. If they intend to use Twitter, mention it in the Form 10-K. By doing this, everyone is now on notice of how a company intends to disclose material information. The second thing that I recommended was that they require that companies post any material news to their corporate website. Right now, in August of 2008, the SEC had said that it was okay for a company to use its corporate website. So why not require that the companies post material news to their websites?
Right.
That levels the playing field with the institutional investors and the retail investors, the individual investors. And then I also suggested that they, file a form. Companies be required to file a Form 8-K with any material news. And if the SEC were to specify these things, there would be no ambiguity in how companies should proceed with using social media.
All right, Jeff, we have to leave it there. Good of you to join us. We appreciate it.
Thanks so much.
Thank you. That's Jeff Corbin of KCSA Strategic Communications in New York. If you're wondering about the approach here in Canada, the rule of thumb is for a public company to issue a news release disclosing material information before posting it on Twitter or other social media. The Canadian Securities Administrators has no plans to revise the rules to specifically refer to social media, but says it will continue to monitor developments in the United States and elsewhere. You are watching Headline on BNN.